Hearts at Celtic Park. The champions back in form, a 5-0 thrashing of Dundee midweek, underlining that point. But Hearts still 4 points clear at the top of the Ladbrokes Premiership. Commentary comes from Rob McLean.
No great reason to change the Celtic team, which demolished Dundee on Wednesday night 5-0, so Brendan Rodgers doesn't. 4 changes for Hearts after the derby draw: Mitchell, Cochrane, McLean and Mulroney replacing Garuccio, Bozanic, Lee and Morrison. 6 domestic wins on the bounce for Celtic. The defending champions are scoring goals for fun at the moment. And here's their top marksman, Odsonne-Edouard, and Ryan Christie with the first serious shot on goal. And Bobby's Lamal down to make the save. McGregor and Christie. And here goes Kieran Tierney with plenty of room to get the ball into the box. Dunn came off Di Kimona, and Christie fires wide. They're banging on the door, Celtic, looking for a breakthrough. Hasn't come quite yet for Brendan Rodgers and his team. Pulling the strings is Callum McGregor in that central midfield area. Scott Sinclair. It's Odsonne-Edouard! It's a sensational finish. Celtic in front on 18 minutes. And the young Frenchman scores his 10th goal of the season. In off the underside of the bar, unstoppable. McGregor's corner kick and make that 2-0. Filip Benkovic scores for Celtic for the first time. The defending was appalling. Jimmy Dunn got close, but nowhere near close enough. Celtic continue to dominate this first half. In from Tierney, that was Christie. Another chance for Celtic to move further in front. And you have to remind yourself that this is the league leaders at Celtic Park. They are being played off the pitch. Sinclair, Tierney, Forrest against Cochrane. Now it's McGregor. Celtic toying with their opponents. In from Tierney, there's Edouard, and there's 3-0. 7 goals in 7 games for the 20-year-old Frenchman. This went straight at the Hearts goalkeeper, but all Bobby's Lamal could do was push this into the corner of the net, and already for Brendan Rodgers and Celtic it's game over. Tierney's free kick bouncing back off the wall. Rogic manufacturing a shooting position, and Lamal palms that clear. Benkovic back into the mix, and Christie's header drifting just wide. The scoreline here could be just about anything. It's been one-way traffic. And this, the latest opportunity for Christie to score. Back from Benkovic. And Craig Gordon, not one to panic. Clipping that over the top of Jake Mulroney. And suddenly, Celtic are on the move. The hoop shirts are flooding forward. It's Callum McGregor! Well, what a goal that would have been had it gone in. End to end for Celtic in double quick time. James Forrest. Odsonne-Edouard is on a hat-trick. It's James Forrest, and it's 4-0. It's a 9th goal of the season for Forest. It's 3-3. And Celtic, at the moment, in domestic football, can't stop scoring. In goes on Oju. Hearts more competitive in the second half. They had to be. Haring. Garucho. And McLean is denied. It was Benkovic who managed to get enough of a block on this to deflect the McLean effort wide of target. No crumb of comfort for Hearts. That's Smith and Morrison. Michael Smith getting himself into all sorts of trouble, and it's Tom Rogic, and it's gone wide. Could have been number 5. There were options in the middle, but he tried to score himself. Zoom under pressure. Even at this stage of the game and 4 goals up, Celtic still snapping into the challenges and winning the ball back. Christie's back heel goes astray, but he quickly gets it back. It's Forest. It was Craig Whiten's challenge, and it's a penalty. The misery continues for the Tynecastle team. Mistimed by the substitute Whiten, penalty. It's Ryan Christie. Bobby's Lamal went one way, the ball went the other. 3 goals in 3 games for Ryan Christie. And it's 5-0 for Celtic.
What typified today was really what their achievements have been over these last 2.5 years. You know, that Hearts have probably felt a little bit of that in the last couple of weeks, where they've had to play midweek games and then come and play in a weekend. You know, we've been in European competition playing really difficult games, and then having to go into virtually cup finals every time we play. So for the players to produce what they produced today on the back of some tough games recently, really shows the humility, like I say, they have, and that hunger to keep succeeding.
To score in game like this is a very proud moment for me, and but I always want to put the team first, you know, because team spirit is always the most important. Goals will come, you know. This is only plus, you know, for me.
I sent the team out to frustrate Celtic and try and hit on the counter attack and use Jake Mulroney's pace, but it was the wrong decision. I felt much better at half time when we changed the game plan and went back to playing against Celtic how we normally do, which is to go after them and see if we can press them high up the field. And I've done the players a disservice today by not letting them do that from the beginning of the game. So yeah, the responsibility for the loss today lies at my feet for sure. And maybe going right 100 lines tonight. Must not try to be too clever. So. Yeah.
Some refreshing honesty there from Craig Levein. In terms of Celtic, some champagne football on show yesterday. Michael, we were there. Craig Gordon's skill, probably the pick of the bunch, but how ominous for the rest of the Premiership. Celtic look ready to take the league by the throat, don't they?
Well, there's no doubt that Celtic have started to hit top form. I keep going back to this the quarter-final against St Johnstone in the Betfred Cup, where there was a lot of pressure riding on that, and they managed to get through with a 1-0 victory, and from then they have really started to ramp it up, and yesterday was just another one of those games where Celtic in top form and just blowing the opposition away.
Stephen, as for Hearts, Craig Levein telling me before the match that you wanted that to be a test of their title aspirations. Yeah. Can they retain any of those title aspirations after a 5-0 defeat?
Well, they're still up there, aren't they?
Yeah.
It was a blow to Hearts. They're ravaged by injuries to key players. We know that it's not Hearts' strongest team by any stretch of the imagination, but they definitely didn't do themselves justice yesterday.
I think Craig Levein will still be doing those 100 lines after the tactics in the first half, Michael. As he admitted, it didn't go Hearts' way, and he took the blame.
No, it didn't. And you see how deep Hearts are here. There's no great pressure on the ball. I mean, you look from the front there, Stephen McLean and Jake Mulroney, they're probably only 25 yards away from goal. And then the problem is when they do win the ball back, they can't get out. You know, Dimitri Mitchell picks it up, tries to play a pass. Everyone's too tight. Again here, look how deep they are. There's the 3 runners from midfield though, getting in on the end of it and almost scoring. So they're very deep and compact, but they're not picking anybody up. And that's a real concern. No pressure on the ball. Cal McGregor, who was very good all afternoon, fires it out to Scott Sinclair, who's got all the space in the world. So they're into that final third very easily. And then there's a wonderful piece of skill and a finish from Edouard, which was right out the top drawer. But they get into that final third so easily. Again, look at that. And there's Kieran Tierney, who's almost behind Hearts' backline, able to throw a ball into the box. 3 runners in, none of them marked. Edouard puts the ball in the back of the net again. This was the 3rd goal in the first half, which was the 2nd goal in the first half from Benkovic, a really good header. But quite clearly, Celtic were hitting top form under no pressure from Hearts. Second half came along, Hearts tried to go and put more pressure on the ball. They won the ball higher up. They're engaging Celtic, you know, in Celtic's half instead of just sitting and inviting trouble. And they started to get a little bit more of the ball because of it.
It's hard to do that, to maintain it though, when you're playing at Celtic Park. The results that Hearts have had against Celtic, where they've looked great at Tynecastle when it's a small pitch, you can get after them, you can keep that up for 90 minutes. You can't do it at Park.
There's no doubt that it's easier to do it, but the problem is that if you allow Celtic to get into the rhythm, they keep doing this. You know, this is in the second half. Celtic were blown, as I said earlier on, they'd blown the opposition away.
Yeah.
The difficulty, and this is the problem that Craig Levein had before the game, is to try and make a call as to, do you go after Celtic or do you sit off? I just think if you sit off, you're inevitably going to be broken down by this Celtic side. Earlier in the season, perhaps sitting off of Celtic, they were struggling to break teams down. Now they're in top form. I just think you're better trying to go after Celtic. You might lose the game, but at least, like Craig Levein was saying, you come away from the game with a lot more positivity.
But if you're going to be deep and sit deep like that and have men behind the ball, they have to be actually affecting the game. And it didn't look like Hearts. You know, they could have all the men in the pitch back in their defensive third, but you've got to then do something about that. They didn't make it hard for Celtic.
I know you were particularly impressed by the performance of Cal McGregor for Celtic.
Yeah, well, he's slotted into this defensive midfield role, and you see here, first instance, doing that defensive side of things, reading the game really well. But what he's so good at is quickening up the play. Here's 3 touches, bang, out wide, and then Celtic are able to counter and get at the back line of Hearts. No pressure on the ball, but look, he's knitting the game together, firing the ball, moving it quickly. You know, Hearts have got all the players behind the ball there. And once this move starts to lose the momentum, lose the pace, Scott Sinclair loses the ball to, I think it was Ryan Christie, fires it back. But watch here, 1, 2, bang, fires it right out there, puts the pace back into the attack, puts the ball into the back post. And that was what he was doing all afternoon. And he's a wonderful technician, Cal McGregor. His first touch is brilliant, always well balanced. And he's got a great eye for a pass, but also when he sees that space in front of him, he drives at the heart of the defence here. And he was very unfortunate not to see this nestling in the bottom corner. That would have been a tremendous goal just to top off what was a very, very good performance from Cal McGregor. And importantly, with him dropping back into that deeper role, I think it's helped to speed up Celtic's play.
Just very briefly from you, Michael, we heard from Stephen. Do Hearts still retain realistic title aspirations as far as you're concerned?
Oh, look, it was too early in the season. They're in a great position. You know, I think if you'd said at the start of the season, do you want to be here at this stage? Of course, they're still top of the table.